What's going on, guys? On this episode, we're going to be covering a little bit of everything. Double episode 32, 33. I'd imagine that if you didn't get your questions in, some question at some point is going to be related to what you need help with. What's up, guys? This is Blake Rodriguez with Dream Come True Canine, and this is episode 3233 of our Dog Behavior Question Tuesday show. So we skipped last week. We've been super busy. As you can see here, this is probably just half the pack. Somebody just passed some major gas. We have Muffin over there in the corner. We have Sophie over here. We got Maggie here sharing a placemat with Dizzy. We have Maxwell over there, Willie the pup, Rasta Pasta pup. We got my man Doc, the doctor, Lola Bean. We have Samson and Soko in the corner. And downstairs, I missed Jake. And we have Jake also over here in the corner. Downstairs, we have Casper, Heidi, Maggie, the other Maggie. Am I missing anybody? Nino got picked up. Oh, and Bella, yeah, so about 4 dogs downstairs. Nope. So he's right next to me because he likes to kind of just break on his own, and there's nothing wrong with that, but one of his main issues is that, like, when he would get direction that would interrupt what he wanted to do, that's when, like, things would get a little bit dicey, so he's just learning to kind of cool it. He just had his water, just went on a walk. He should, chill, but you're going to see most likely a little bit of, like, frustration while his brother just gets cozy on his hammock. Is he in the frame there? Yeah, so that's what we have going on. Let's jump right into this. I don't want to have this go on for too long, but hey, down. Good. He's gonna hang out. I'm gonna get closer over here. Make sure my coffee is here. This is important, more important than all your questions. We're gonna start with Addie. My blue healer mix has started to become more aggressive and has bitten someone. I'm starting training but need some serious help. It's mostly at home when people enter our front door. Okay, we're gonna try and simplify this because there's a lot to work on, but we need to have certain things in place first and foremost. We just finished doing a Facebook Live, or it might have been a Periscope, where I was talking about priorities with these two and the priorities that I look for. Right now, what I'm gonna do with this guy is I'm gonna test him out real quick. Sit down. Good. Abby, could you do me a favor? The way that this guy's passing gas, he actually might have to poop. Could you, either you or Ozzy or one of you, hey, please, bring this guy out. Thank you. Good boy. And if he doesn't have to pass gas, I just need a break from that. Okay, so we're gonna try and simplify this a little bit for you, Addie. We need some things set in place, right? So recently on the Facebook page, it might have been a Periscope, which was on Catch.me that got posted on our Facebook, but we spoke about the priorities that we look for. No, not today. The priorities that we look for. You see, we're super busy here. First, we have to have a dog that understands leash pressure, that speaks clearly. You can speak clearly on leash pressure. The dog speaks leash pressure, right? We have to have a dog that at some point, regularly or starting from today, begins to practice some degree of impulse control. By impulse control, what I mean is exactly what we're doing here. All of these dogs, if we were to give them the okay right now, they would jump up and they would start playing. With the exception of maybe 1 or 2 would probably just kind of hang out. Every single one of them will go into wild child mode and go nuts, right? In fact, what we did was they all went out for a potty walk while I was working with 2 dogs. Everybody brought them in. They sat them all, got all their leashes off. They still stayed seated. We've showed videos of this all the time, how we do this. And then we give them the okay and they go nuts and they play. And then I said, all right, guys, let's go ahead, let's get ready to film this. And everybody here just started placing all of them. Most of them is just guiding them and pointing them onto placemats. We want to get you to a point where your dog knows what place is. Your dog regularly practices place when you're watching your favorite show on Netflix, when you're making your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or you're cooking your steak. Don't have the dog that's politely sitting at your side, that's not jumping up, but it's just like over here, just like hounding you. Have the dog hold a place, right? When you come home, or when your boyfriend comes home, or your mom comes home, or your dad comes home, or someone like that, the dog that, or the person that your dog loves, practice your dog holding the position, even though all they want to do is just go over there and say hi, because that degree of impulse control is exactly the same struggle and urge that the dog's gonna feel when it wants to bark and charge and bite somebody that's actually at the door that it doesn't like, right? So you need to practice this in situations where it might not be important for that at that particular moment, but that's the practice, the wax on, wax off need that you need over here. Now let's look at a couple things. Now you're practicing this for the first time, but then you're asking for something and the dog knows how to do it until the doorbell rings. Then you try to tell your dog to stop. It has no understanding of spatial pressure. You don't have the leash, or your dog's not remote collar trained, so you can't reinforce something. So now your dog's over there and you've kind of lost that momentum or that kind of moment. So let's look to set ourselves up for success, meaning you need to be in a position to understand, okay, if this doesn't go as the way I visualize it, which is perfect, hopefully you're visualizing perfection, that's very important. What is going to happen? My dog's gonna break. If my dog breaks and I'm sitting here, and am I in a position to say no or hey or whatever it is, and actually, when my dog ignores that, follow through with something that can actually physically stop a dog, maybe offer a correction, and then help to guide the dog back on. In this case, it's probably gonna be a long line and a leash that you can catch. And usually, once you're past the teaching phase, once you work your dog for food, your dog knows how to be sent to place, your dog knows how to hold place, your dog knows how to be released for food, all of those good things, then what we're doing is we're starting to proof things a little bit. So it's not just like your dog's holding a place, it's like when the dog breaks, I'm grabbing a leash, and you're gonna get a little bit of a correction that interrupts the state of mind that you're in to charge a dog. It's gonna be the blinders are on, I'm not to charge a human, sorry. I'm not paying attention to anybody, I hear you, but I'm not listening, I'm running. You need to have a touch that will effectively remove the blinders off of this dog and go, whoa, how long have you been standing there for? You need to make yourself an option. So that touch, that interruption, is gonna be much more effective and clear for the dog if you guys regularly practice it, and hopefully your dog understands the language because we've already done leash pressure stuff, right? So if you're not familiar with that, go to our YouTube page. We have videos that show how we introduce leash pressure even to like fearful, shutdown, aggressive dogs. We have catch.me, K-A-T-C-H, that shows how we introduce place, how we teach the sending and the staying portion. So this stuff, it does require you to do a little bit of homework and watch some videos, but at the same time, it's free and you're not having to pay an arm and a leg for a trainer. So that's kind of where we are, right? But once you have all that stuff in place, now you just need to be in a position to be able to follow through. If this was to go south, am I able to get what I want even if it doesn't look pretty initially? And that's the things you got to set yourself up with. So you should have a long line on your dog. You should have a prong collar on your dog. You should look to remote collar train your dog. You know, before you're teaching the dog what not to do, you're teaching the dog what to do. And then you're set up for success. Your dog has to practice holding a position no matter what. And then that duration eventually will begin to alter the brain. Because you're going to have a dog that will physically hold, but mentally is a wreck. The more you practice it, the easier it should get. And then there's little tricks to kind of help. The recent YouTube video with Jerry on leash pressure shows some stuff where you look to shift the dog without calling a dog off place. So there's a little bit of finesse to that, but that's my answer, right? So hopefully that helps. Get your dog to learn place for sure. Carlo, what's up, man? This is who the question's from. Hey, buddy, what's the difference between the cost and heel position? I believe you mean close, right? The difference between the close command and the heel position. How do you teach and work those tricks? For us, when we say close, That's just our word for heel. We don't use the word heel. It's just something that Andrew and I both like. So when we say heel, a dog kind of just whips into that position. There's different ways to go about it. Andrew, you want to do a quick, maybe grab your dog and show the beginning steps with food, how you take like a 2-step over here? And then we can show you the same thing. Maybe Jen will jump in and do it with Dizzy. Maybe I'll do it with another dog. He's going to go ahead and grab. What are you grabbing right now? Okay, he's going to go grab some food. So a couple things that we do, Carlo, is we work our dogs for their meals. If they don't have that drive, they're not used to working, then they're probably not getting the food until they learn how to understand the concept of working and how to do those things. So those are the first things that you kind of want to set up. Once you have a dog that's working for its food and understands that their choices are what's getting them the food and maybe not getting them the food, then that's when you kind of take it to the next step, right? Jen, why don't you take a nap on that place cut there? Or actually, if that guy left, just go downstairs, go to sleep. That was the guy from the deli. No, the other guy went out too. I don't know where he went, but so. What's that? Oh, is he? Okay. Did he go to the bathroom? No. No? Okay. We got a lot of things happening right now, guys. Make sure that door's closed, Ozzy. Is that him? I believe it is. So we have interviews going on, and I just told Jen to take a nap, but she's also going to handle the interviews. So nap while you interview this guy at the same time. Ozzy, did he go?
He didn't do that.
He didn't do nothing? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and bring him right over here. Okay. Good. So a couple things that we're going to do is he's going to show you just the command real quick, and then show him like the basics of that, and then show him how maybe a wall could help also.
Okay.
You know, in the early stages.
It's also very simple. Just the actual oh, the teardrop here, you have food in your hand and you put her in.
Do you want this mic?
No, it's alright.
So it's a teardrop heel is what Andrew said. You have food in your hand and you just work on the physical positioning of luring. If you are not familiar with our markers, he's using the words good, 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 and then yes when the dog takes the food and releases. So right here you see his left foot goes back into like that little kind of that 2-step back and then comes forward right into that position. There's also separate things to work on with eye contact. Eventually you take eye contact into this. And this is all done without naming the command. When you like what you see, then you name it. And little by little, you kind of work on this. Now, sometimes if the positioning is not looking good and the dog is kind of far from you, what you're looking to do is you're maybe looking to use a wall. So Andrew's going to play cameraman. Dizzy, stop.
I'm going to take those two, actually.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can go for it. So the wall here helps you to really kind of really stay close to the dog without a dog panning out also. You can do this outside, you can do this inside, depending on where you are, but that's that. And also for Addie, what's important for you to understand, I just answered your question just before, this is also important for the dogs that are holding place because like they're very well aware that food is being used, and these dogs all learn to be food driven and work for their food. So a lot of them I'm sure would want to be, nope, hey, good. A lot of them I'm sure would want to be going for this food. Even there I was able to nope him, but then follow through with my body to get him to not kind of follow through there, you know, and continue to eat the food. While we're off camera here, Jen just finished calling Dizzy and Maggie. So when we get back to this, you'll see Samson's on the place that they were on. One of our interviews is for a new dog walker, and they're going to be kind of the guinea pigs to get that guy to see where his handling is and try and show him how our walking services differ from the average dog walker, right? So that's what we're doing there.
For the whole hill thing, those are very beginning stages. It took me 2 months exclusively feeding Samson to get it.
Okay. Okay, so what Andrew wanted to stress is like those are the very, very early beginning stages of teaching that, and that alone, what'd you say, took like 2 months of just drilling it over and over?
Well, not that alone, but the whole finished product.
Okay, the whole finished product took about 2 months, but not that alone did, but something that you drill, he looks more comfortable here, right? Something that you drill it, and this is how the dog eats, right? So this is how you work it every day. You're ready to eat, this is what you gotta do to eat. Am I ready to get paid? You wanna make some money? Yeah, I wanna make money, what do I have to do, right? Somebody doesn't go, you wanna make money? Here's $100. They go, you wanna make money? I need you to help paint my room, or I need you to help put this together. So that's the kind of job that we're giving our dogs, right? Next question's from Randy. What's up, Randy Hearns? How are you, man? Hey, Blake, love the work you guys are doing. My 8-month-old German Shepherd walks in a heel position around the neighborhood just fine. The problem is when I take her to a new location she's never been to, or when she knows we're going to play fetch in a big field in the neighborhood, it's tough to get her to relax and walk on a loose leash. She doesn't seem to be fazed by the pressure of the prong. When I correct, am I not correcting harsh enough? How would you approach this? Thanks in advance. It's really kind of tough to say. Usually when a dog is in that state of mind, unless I know my dog really knows leash pressure, then I'm correcting in a way that's clear. But if the dog is kind of going wild, it's a state of mind thing, what I would look to do is I would look to see when it's starting to switch. And your correction can't just be a wail on the leash. It has to be something that brings you back into the picture when the dog took you out of the picture. And then you also want to make sure that a lot of times, like, you're not correcting and continuing to move forward. You might give a touch that resets and slows down and gets a dog to really start focusing on what your body is saying. Usually a touch is snapping a dog out of a state of mind and bless you, buddy, snapping a dog out of a state of mind and getting them to a point where, Doc, what are you doing, dude? Shh, place. So this is spatial pressure here, right? Soko, good. My spatial pressure stops here, down. Good. But when you're going to give a touch, you don't want to be touching and then moving and then touching and then moving and then touching and moving. Sometimes you got to create that. The dog looks at you and slow down for a little. And then what you're doing is your walk, you kind of want the dog up over here. So it's almost like you're getting them to follow that left leg. If I'm going to walk, don't assume. You don't want a dog assuming. If the dog is like, I'm going to do this and the dog is already moving, it's like, you're staying back here. So really what you're looking to do is you're trying to address the physical position before it gets to the point of pulling. And a really effective correction is a correction where you put on leash pressure, down. You put on leash pressure before the dog puts on leash pressure. So you want to create that point of tension before the dog creates tension, and now you're like, now I have to correct it. So those are kind of like little tricks of the trade. Another thing that I would honestly practice, Doc, what are you doing, you goof? What are you doing, you goof? Another thing that I would practice is, and this is hard because the whole point of going there is to really work a dog, but there's a lot of expectation and buildup. And what happens is, like, you might try to like have the dog calm for a little, and then you're like, okay, like, let's just go ahead and give them the okay to play. It might require you to like walk to a park or walk to new areas and like don't give the dog an okay or reward for play. You might be walking to that area and then you don't end up playing fetch. You do it a couple times like a day or a couple times a week, and you just get used to walking through and it doesn't mean anything, right? Let's see where we are. And then with the new location, make sure that you control nose, eyes, ears. You can't have the dog kind of doing their own thing, slow the walk down. I might all of a sudden turn one block radius into like a 15-minute walk because I really don't like the way it's going, so I'm not going to keep moving forward. So at that point, down. Don't worry about your distance and where you want to go. You have to have no agenda to actually go somewhere. And it's like, okay, I got to focus on this and we're really going to take it easy. So you got to have time on your hands and you got to have patience. Do not get frustrated. Working with a dog when you're frustrated, I've tried it. It doesn't work. I think we've all at some point been frustrated working with our dogs, and try to like, just a wide variety of things, and it doesn't work. Trust me, it doesn't. So hopefully that helps, man. But Randy, I just want to say I see that you're on Facebook. I see you're on here engaging. I'm pretty sure I've caught you on Periscope and stuff. So thank you for that. And let's keep this moving, see how this progresses, and maybe we can begin to get more detailed so we can get you on the right track. Out for a walk, LA. Hello, I'm a dog walker and recently started walking a rescue dog. He seemed fine at first, but he nipped me for the first time when I went to wipe off his cone. Hey! When I went to wipe off his cone, no issues. He's gonna lay back down. When I did the same thing before, the next day he nipped at me, and when I went to put his harness on, nipped at me when I went to put his harness on. His owner said he has nipped at them before. That's the big problem right there. If a dog's nipping at the owners, then that's a huge problem. At them before, but I think it was under different circumstances. It doesn't matter. You don't do it at all. I mean, unless they were strangling this dog and choking this dog, there's no excuse for a dog to kind of bite. How is the nipping dealt with? And does this start out of the blue? Because it seemed to happen overnight. It does not start out of the blue. I can tell you, so if I want to slow him down, even though he's just being goofy, I can kind of work him a little. I can tell you right now, when you have a dog that thinks, I don't care for whatever, that thinks it's okay to bite a human, bite their own human, that's one of the main issues right there. And then on top of that, it basically suggests, I don't really need to see much, obviously seeing things would help to give me a better understanding, but it suggests that things are relatively lenient. On top of that, if a dog is walking in a harness, 9 times out of 10, there's a minimal amount of structure to that dog's kind of lifestyle, and a dog that thinks it's okay to bite, that's an issue. So there needs to be more structure in that dog's life, more follow-through in that dog's life. The dog should be walking a certain way. The dog should be relaxing and resting a certain way. Should be getting fed a certain way. That dog needs more structure. I personally would not walk the dog on a harness. That gives me, I mean, if you have a dog that's walking fine with you on a harness, that's just at your side, fantastic. But when you're trying to work on things and you need to have more of a say, the harness doesn't really provide that for you. So, at least for me. So, I would go ahead and say that a dog that thinks is okay, yeah, we might be looking at something that, like a dog might be a little unsure or nervous about something, but one thing that I have to set right from the beginning is this is not allowed, period. So let's get that known. Then I'm gonna take it easy with you. I'm gonna kind of work you through your food. I might do some counter conditioning, meaning you're gonna learn to get pet on your head where you don't mind being pet on your head. You're gonna learn to be pet on your head, and then you're gonna get yes for food. Right? Or gooded for food, most likely yes. And watch our markers on Catch.me if you don't understand that. And then I'm gonna do that. Eventually it's gonna go to petting the back and then yes for food. And when you get good at that concept and you understand that, I might touch your paw or something, or whatever it was. If you're removing the cone, I might touch the cone and then yes. And then all of a sudden put the cone on and then yes. And then take the cone off and then yes. And this is how you eat. And the owner should be doing this too. Giving the dog freedom to do as it pleases, and then all of a sudden you're asking to do something where it might be nervous. It's not good to practice just that setting. So the dog needs more structure in its life, point blank period. There's no other answer for it. It's you got to find out where there's leniency, and I can assure you that there is for sure. One of the things that usually helps for me before I jump to the next question is if I find a dog has an issue with like taking direction from me in one area, I'm gonna challenge it in a completely different area. Meaning, I might say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and work on place with you over here, and you've actually never really worked on holding a place, so I know you're gonna wanna break. And then when you break, and I say nope, and I have you do this, how are you gonna take that? How are we gonna handle follow through? How are we gonna do all that? So I'm gonna teach the dog how to take direction from me and handle it, handle follow through. Teach the dog how to do something. This is important. I said this in another Periscope, but I think this is really important. You want to spend time teaching the dog what to do. You want the dog to prefer making those choices. But you also need to practice the dog being okay with taking direction from you when they might not want to. So it doesn't matter how good of a trainer you are, how much you train the dog to prefer to do this. If a dog chooses at some point, I know how to do this, I prefer to do it, but I don't want to do it right now, and there's no debate, you need them to do that, the dog needs to learn to be okay with that. If the dog isn't, that's a major problem. So find an indirect area, work on following through and having that structure, and then from there you can begin to kind of carry over into the more challenging areas. Fernie, thanks for the advice you gave me last time. I really saw some improving on my GSD. How can you correct the dog when he already knows the protocols, but he doesn't listen? How can I go about that? Okay, so that kind of ties into what we were just talking about here. I don't remember the advice quite that I gave you in the last time, but when the dog already knows the protocols, then that's when you slap him with a speeding ticket, right? If I'm an officer and all of a sudden you're from Massachusetts, or rather you're from Massachusetts where you can make a right turn on red, and in New York City you cannot make a right turn on red anywhere, and you innocently made a mistake, I'm gonna pull you over, and you go, I'm from Boston, you can't make a right on red here. I might give you a warning and cut you some slack. Yeah, and inform you, yeah, you know what, you can't, you know, I understand, just make sure you don't do it again. If you knew better, then you're getting slapped with a ticket, because that should be able to correct you. Now here's the thing we gotta look at. How do you give a ticket to a dog that doesn't comprehend the ticket? You have to give them some form of consequence. So the consequence has to outweigh the reward. If you're giving out a $5 speeding ticket with no points on the dog's license, then $5 is nothing for a lot of people. If they know that's the worst thing that can happen to them, they're gonna keep doing it because the reward outweighs the consequence, right? So we need to go into proofing and get a dog to not only realize positive outcomes, but realize negative outcomes, so they can start avoiding negative things and moving toward positive things. And that's positive choices, right? And that's kind of where we want to go with this. Your dog knows that you need to have a follow through, and usually what I say is you don't have to be mean, but you have to mean what you say. And I'm willing to bet, there we go, I wanted that startle there. Sit down. So I've guided the dog, nope, guided the dog. I had to give more than a $5 ticket because the dog's broke a couple times. So at some point, listen, I've been fair with you. I told you you can't make a right on red. Now it's like, what's it gonna take for me to get you to stop doing that? I know you're late for work. I know you wanna get to your basketball game on time. I don't know, but I'm telling you, you can't do this. The consequence likely has to be higher in the event that your dog knows the rules and is just flat out giving you the middle finger and saying, I know it, I just don't wanna do it, right? And that's the reality of life. There's always consequences. We just have to make sure that consequence relates well to the dog and the dog can comprehend that. Beach sloth. How do you get an older rescue, 3 now, who has learned all the basic commands very well to learn recall we can trust in any scenario? Okay, so this is the thing that's really important. It's like once a dog knows things, you have to be able to proof what the dog knows. When you're working on recall, the thing that makes recall a little bit tricky, and I think there was another question about this, but this will tie into this. The thing that makes recall tricky is like most people rush recall and they jump into correcting the dog for not coming back or something, and that's obviously an issue. There's also some people who spend a lot of time doing things the right way, teaching the dog what to do, and getting them really good at it. But then they get to a point where now the dog knows what to do, and then they basically go cold turkey from there. So the leashes come off, that super 50-foot long lead comes off, and now a dog might come to you every now and then because you have treats or something, or maybe you've abandoned the treat and the dog's like, I'll come to you. But once it learns that when it's a distance from you and the leash is off or something, and it can choose to come to you, but it can also choose not to, depending on the type of drive that dog has and the type of competing motivators that actually might be a distraction for that dog, now this is when you run into a problem because dogs are very intelligent creatures and they'll understand, oh, interesting. So like when I'm in this radius, you can kind of follow through and have a say, but when I'm over here, there's really not much you can do instead of hope. You can say, look and watch and like have a piece of cheese, or you can yell and say, Sparky, and chase, but you really don't have a, yeah, what was it? Yeah, Fenton. You really don't have a means of follow through. For me, that's the big problem. So I have experimented with a lot of things. I've taught recall to a number of dogs without using remote collar, and you can get really, really, really far. But at some points, when you have to get off of a leash, which is where everybody wants to be, you have no follow through, and that's when you need it most. I don't want an 80% dog. I don't want a dog that comes 80% of the time. I want a 100% dog. So my 100% dog is going to be a dog that I might get to a point where I'm never using a certain tool, but it's there if I need it, right? I have the lifeguard under the seat or the life jacket under the seat in the boat. I might not never have to use it, but if it comes time, it's there if I need it. I'm able to kind of follow through and kind of be secure and kind of safe. So in the beginning, I used the remote collar a ton. And it's to teach a dog what to do, teach a dog what to do. They feel it, whether they're coming or not, feel it when they're coming or not. And then we experiment with the leash, with when the dog would rather or not, a little bit of a higher level. And I know with the leash, I can get you to come to shut pressure off, right? And I do that, so when I do that, you know what to do every single time. Then when that gets really good, and I've taught the remote collar on low-level communications, and also high, hey, when I say this here now, no ifs, ands, and buts about it, then I can remove the leash, but now I have this. Then I can experiment with low level, I need you here, and press in it anyway, or I can experiment with high stuff. But this is the thing that people do, is they jump too soon to not using the remote collar at all because the dog's really good with it. And what happens is the dog's not as fluent in that language anymore. So in the early stages, you want to use it and use it and use it and use it, whether the dog would come or not, low level stuff so they can feel it, they make the right choice, pressure comes off, so that it becomes a habit. If I set my alarm clock for every day for 1 week at 5:45 a.m., the next start of the week on a Monday, if I don't set my alarm, there's a good shot that I'll wake up around 5:45, 6 a.m. But because I did it once without the alarm clock, doesn't mean that, guys, I don't need an alarm clock now. Like, eventually, especially if my schedule is getting out of whack, it's not gonna work. So every now and then you might gamble, boom, I woke up at that time, fantastic, but then the alarm clock should come back on right after. So you get into that rhythm. What we're trying to create is a habit. And if you don't have a means of communication or control, and there's no habit to create that follow through, Jake, to create that follow through, that's when you're in trouble, right? So remote collar all the way. Get your dog remote collar trained even before you start using it for recall, right? Geektard, hi Blake, how do I keep the prong collar on the right place behind the ears on a dog with a silky short coat? Even though my collar is properly fit, it always slips down on the neck. Anyways, or on the neck anyways on my Roddy. Okay, a lot of people have trouble with this. For me, this is another 9 times out of 10. I say this a lot, but 9 times out of 10, it suggests that your leash pressure is going back on the dog and pulling back rather than being in front of the dog. And this is very important. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do it with him really quick. If I go ahead and I take this leash, I always want my leash pressure, am I still on the camera here? I always want my leash pressure, if I'm going to turn, I'm not gonna turn this way and pull leash pressure that way. Even though he came that way, it's not clear. I always want this leash to steer this nose. If I can guide the nose, the body will follow. You'll find that whenever you're always steering the dog, you never have a leash that falls back. When the dog's ahead of you and you start using leash pressure this way, and you're always kind of going down this way, your communication is not clear with the leash, and what happens is the leash pressure starts going down. Whenever you're ahead, even if the dog is ahead of me, even if the dog is here, and I want to keep moving forward, I'm going to steer the dog, guide the dog, maybe pull up to keep the dog back there. I honestly can't think of a situation where I ever pull the leash back. Even if I want a dog to come back, I'm turning or maybe I'm pulling up. It's either left, right, or up. Or forward. I'm never ever pulling back. So that suggests to me that your leash pressure communication might not be horrible, and you might have a dog that's kind of in between sizes, and some dogs are tough. They do slide down a little bit more, but your leash pressure communication has a little bit of room, maybe a lot, I don't know, for improvement. Okay, I work on that all the time myself. There's some dogs where I find, oh man, I got to really be on top of this. You know what I mean? So sometimes if you have too much length in the leash, you find that your pressure is kind of going back. So you really have to be mindful of where your pressure is going. If your pressure is always up and steering the dog, if anything, you should be helping to keep the collar up here, right? So that should help you, just something to work on. And also that YouTube video that we shot with Jerry explains that a little bit more in detail, right? Place. Good. Next question down is, hey Ozzy, if there's any dogs, you're out of here at 4, right? Like Bella or Casper, I need to go out for like a quick potty or something, or even Maggie, if you want to grab Maggie just for like a walk, that'll just help before, because I know the time is kind of running out for your shift. Let's see. Oh, and then lastly, oh no, that was it for that. And then there's Enzo Menzo Dog. Hi Blake, Andrew, and the team. Could you recommend any type of feed bags or feeding bags? Sorry, I don't know. So a lot of people call them bait bags or treat totes. Could you grab me one really quickly? The ones that we use are, we actually got these from Leerburg, I believe. Leerburg.com, Leerburg. So these, hey, down. These are these called bait bags?
I wouldn't know what they're called. I assume they're called bait bags though.
I think they are called bait bags. Let me see if there's a name here. It looks like it says Creations USA, but if you go to Leerburg.com, Leerburg.com, the cool thing about these bait bags is there's 2 slots. So sometimes I'll have food for dogs in both areas. So this attaches around your waist. And I'm sure you can customize it to attach like elsewhere. Hey, see, he's eager to work, right? And this can also like slide around where needed. The cool thing, am I in the frame here?
Yep.
The cool thing is this can be closed, and then it can also open and stay kind of open so I can kind of reach. The problem we were having is a while ago when we first started is, you just go to the local store and we get like a treat tote by who knows. And I mean, my hands are just too big, so I'm scraping my knuckles to try to like get in here. And when you're in and out, it's just, there's not enough room to kind of really, to get what you need. So with here, I mean, I can fanny pack it and look like a Mrs. Doubtfire, or I can have it back here and hide it. If I'm about to start running or moving, boop, I can close it, I'm good. Samson, bench, down. And then there's also another slot right here also for food. So we have like about 5 or 6 of these, and we really love it. And these are adjustable as well, all right? So definitely check that out. I'm pretty sure they're called bait bags, Leerburg.com, all right? And then you ask another question, which was what's Andrew's periscope? Andrew's periscope is A Travis 527. A is in Apple, Travis, Travis, 527. Let's see where else we are. Free fluidity. When my dog is swimming, she wants to bite and sometimes eat stuff that is floating down the river. Should I correct this with an e-collar or let it continue? The question or the answer for that is, I mean, if it's bothering you and you don't like it, yeah, you definitely should correct it. If it's no harm, no foul, and she's just having a grand old time and it's not dangerous, that's fine. But here's usually where I like to draw the line. If something doesn't feel right, or if you were in a situation where you don't mind that she does it, but now the one thing she's about to maybe try and bite would be a problem, if you need to, are you in a position to call her off or correct it and get her to stop? Does she know how to do that? If she knows how to do it, then when you need it, you're fine. If she doesn't know how to do it, then it's something to practice, and you might want to do it for every little thing, even the things that don't matter, right? So yeah, that's pretty much that. But your dog should be e-collar trained prior to using it for correction-based stuff, right? We stress that in every single episode, everything that we do. That's very, very important. If you're not familiar with what I mean with that, go back in the Dog Behavior Question Tuesday episodes, check out thecatch.me, KATCH, go through all that. It's so much free information. Like, you can train your dog without ever having to hire somebody to a pretty good point, and then say, okay, now I want to hire somebody because I see the benefits of having someone hands-on. But you can get pretty damn far, right? Jewel and Riku, what is an effective way to stop a puppy from barking? Sometimes the dog will just sit and bark at you to get your attention, then run away if we bend down to try and correct it. You need to get your dog good on leash pressure. It's a puppy. They're going to be a little goofy. They're going to be a little, like, silly. That's understandable, but you need to be able to follow through. If every time you try to give your direction, your dog can avoid it, then that's a problem. Yeah, that's another thing too. Don't reward it. Andrew's simple answer. So like Andrew's just like me. Like, like our brain, our initial answer is going to be something where it's like right away we're going to say this. Take your time with her, yeah. Abby. Yeah, really take your time with leash pressure. Don't let her kind of pull. Okay. Short leash, pull up to make sure she doesn't pass you, and then pressure off. What were you gonna say, Andrew?
Don't reward that. Especially if you're working your dog for your food or anything that the dog wants, just hold out. If it wants your attention, don't get it until it stops barking.
Yeah.
Right. So just like negative punishment is like so huge for puppies.
It's huge with puppies when they're usually used to working.
I guess that's true too.
Yeah, like it's not. That's the important thing about.
I said I don't have a mic on.
Yeah, that's the what's that? Yeah. I know, that's the important thing about negative punishment. So Andrew was saying, like, you can ignore that and don't reward that. More often than not, like, there's something like, hey, Jake, stop. What's the matter? What? Are you hungry? Maybe he has to go out. You want to go out? And then we're taking him out, and we're always, or we're petting. We're like, hey, stop, and we're doing something. So he's doing it because it pays. At some point in the game, it pays, or it's probably continuing to kind of pay. So get your dog good with leash pressure. The dog tries to run away, boom, have a leash. Hey, teach your dog place. Teach your puppy place. Teach your dog how to chill out. Teach your dog, work your dog for food regularly, so that way when something happens, you say, do that. That gets you fed. This behavior doesn't. So teach your dog what you'd rather want. Then you can correct. Don't do that. Go do this, right? So Andrew was like saying in puppies, what's like really popular is like negative punishment, or what can be really effective, not popular, is negative punishment, which is basically the removal of something, let's say food in this case, or something that a dog wants, to stop a behavior that a dog just did. The trick here is a dog has to want it. More importantly, a dog has to understand that it's not getting it because of the way it's acting. You might not get a dog to grasp this concept if you don't live a lifestyle with the dog where the dog works for what it gets, works for its meals, works for affection, works for this, that, and the third. All of that stuff is very important, right? Fernie, what are you asking, like 10 questions here? What's going on? I see you popping up again. How long do you have to train a dog for it to learn the command right away? He knows it, but sometimes he ignores it. I don't have the time to correct it, but I try. What should I do? Why don't you have the time to correct it? One, but let's jump into this really quickly. Every command is different. It depends on how complex it is, right? What we do is, if your dog is ignoring it, your dog doesn't know it that well, or your dog knows it but knows that it doesn't have to do it in some situations. So there has to be a little bit of proofing, there has to be a little bit of follow through. You have to be in a position to follow through, because if there's no need for it, then I mean, what's the incentive for a dog to do it, right? So there should be a good reason for why your dog should do it, and then there should also be a consequence for if your dog doesn't do it, because in some situations, maybe not this particular one, but in some situations that could be very important, and you don't have time to debate. When I say something, I need you to do it. I don't have time to explain. I know what's better for you. I know how this world works. This is for your best interest, right? Or in your best interest. So that is that. Let me see. Another thing is your order. Don't say a command or name a command if your dog doesn't know the physical behavior. Teach a physical behavior, get that really good, really good, really good, really good, then say the word, and then do what you've been doing to get the behavior. Say the word, then do what you've been doing to get the behavior. Say it, do it. Say it, do it. Say it. Eventually you say it, and you're about to do it, and the dog goes, I don't need the rest of the information. I know what you're asking. And that's how you get a dog to actually know the command, right? So that's it for these questions. What we're gonna jump into right now, because this is a double episode, episode 32, 33, we're gonna jump into the other ones, see where we are here. Okay, this is from Ali. What is the best way to get a successful off-leash recall before resorting to e-collar training? Not anti-e-collar, but looking for a resolution to getting off of a 20-foot plus lead. Thanks. So we kind of answered this. This is what I thought, what I remember reading earlier in the episode. Here's a situation, like, you can train a dog to understand recall, no problem, and get a dog really, really solid. You know, you work the dog for the food, they feel a little bit of leash pressure, they come to you, boom, they get the food. They feel a little bit of leash pressure, come to you, get the food, they feel leash, come. Eventually, I apply the name or the commands, either here or come, whatever you use. Let's say here, leash pressure, get it. Here, leash pressure. So this is exactly what I just said in the last answer. I say the command. I don't expect the dog to know the command, and I do what I've been doing to get it. Say the command, do what I've been doing to get it. Say it, get it. Say it, get it. Now you have a dog that understands it, does really, really good. You have a dog who's also doing it, and you're gambling now, just like the alarm clock. I use a little bit of leash pressure, boom, the dog comes. Next time I say it without using leash pressure, but I'm there just in case. Oh, wow, the dog came, right? Then I go back to using leash pressure. Dog came. Then all of a sudden I go to calling the dog without leash pressure. Dog came, calling the dog without leash pressure, and then the dog didn't respond, but now I can follow through. And that's where the leash helps, because when you get to the point that you're getting away from it, you have the follow through if you need it. The problem is you get really good at it, and then you get off of the leash. Dog might be good for a little bit, but if you don't have a means of if you don't have a means, a way to follow through, now you're in trouble. So the best that you can do is you can get a dog really good with understanding the concept, knowing how to do it. You can prove it to some degree. But just like anything else, just like me with the alarm clock, if I don't get used to setting the alarm clock after a while, I'll eventually fade away from waking up at that time. If I'm really, really good and my body is looking great, I have a great beach body because I worked out every day and I've trained and I've trained and I've trained, and now I'm taking a break because I don't need to go to the gym anymore. I don't need a means of following through. I might sustain it for a little bit, but then eventually I start to get soft again. I start to put on weight. I start to, lose weight depending on what your body type is like. So at some point, there always needs to be a little bit of a refresher. And when you have that remote collar at that point, it's the only thing that I've found that allows you to have that Bluetooth leash without having to go back to a leash. Unless you're gonna carry filet mignons on you, but even then, when a dog's over 100 yards away from you and it sees a deer, it goes, yeah, I know you had that filet, I'm gonna chase the deer, I'm gonna get my fulfillment out of that, maybe I'll come back and then you're gonna reward me for coming back because you don't wanna correct me by the time I get back to you. So you don't wanna correct me for coming to you. So that's where it gets a little bit silly. Your timing is gonna be off. So you can do really good without a remote collar, but when you get to the more advanced, high level, 100% phase, I personally have not found a replacement or anything that really, really compares. I mean, I don't know, Andrew, how do you, when it comes, they're really, you know what I mean? Like aside from a remote collar, when you get, maybe in the early stages you don't need it, but when you get to like that point where you want to get off of a leash, I mean.
So you could get, like, you never get 100%, but the amount of extra work you have to put in to get a high percentage without a remote collar is a little bit ridiculous.
It's a little bit what?
It's a little bit ridiculous. You have to be a dog trainer and have a lot of free time and put your dog in every single scenario that may track them. It's like a lot.
Yeah, so Andrew's basically saying you need to be to the point where like you need to have a lot of time. You need to be a dog trainer that's not a busy dog trainer, that is not training any other dogs, and you just start putting your dogs through scenarios and like every single scenario and situation possible with a leash on so that you're super prepped. I know you want to play with Soko, but it's not time. She's just looking at him with the tail wagging. But if it's so much work that would need to be done that even the average dog trainer that does it for a living would need to focus exclusively on this dog only, and that would be what they have to eat, breathe, and sleep, and just do and dream about every single day to like drill this dog. And the reality is, even dog trainers don't have that. And that's another thing too. Yeah, Andrew was like, it still won't be 100%. because you don't have that means of following through. And it might start really good, but eventually it will start to wither away, just like my beach body will if I don't continue to work out and continue to eat healthy. It's just the reality of life. We all need training. It's like riding a bike. You know, you need that refresher course. So there's so much that we kind of have to look at there, and that's, I think you kind of get the gist of it when I explain it that way. Next one is from DctK9's. I'm currently working on the stress levels on my dog, and he is so much better. Awesome. And he doesn't have problems with his belly anymore, but still has some trouble in the forest. He gets so excited and happy, and that scratches his belly, I think. This is a little confusing for me. Andrew, could you like maybe read? What's that? The DctK9's question for the second one, yeah. He has diarrhea 5 times within an hour in the forest. Should I start having him on a leash in the beginning? Was it just because he's so anxious or something? Or he crashes, meaning he upsets his stomach maybe? That's probably what it is, just upsets his stomach. Should I start having him on leash in the beginning so that he learns to enjoy the forest calmly before absolutely. That's the answer right there. This is our biggest problem. The same thing happens when he gets to play with other dogs. He is such a goofy, happy-go-lucky dog, but he gets so excited that he upsets, his belly crashes, meaning probably it's just this anxiety, diarrhea. Yeah, you know what you gotta do is like really just like tone things down and walk him through. It's the same setup for what we teach with socialization. So when we're socializing our dogs, a lot of dogs that come into the training facility might not be able to play with dogs at all or see them visually. First thing we do is we get them to the point where they learn to ignore and coexist. Other dogs might see dogs and they always want to play 24/7. We're not letting the leash off and rewarding that behavior. We're teaching the dog a different mindset. This is what we expect. This is what we maintain. This is what you practice. I already know that you know how to play. I don't need to teach that. That's not going to go away. What I need to teach is this. I need to drill it and drill it and drill it and prove it. Calm, calm, calm. Hang out, enjoy nature, enjoy being out. I'm going to keep the rowdy dogs away from you so it's not as difficult. So you learn how to stay with me and just chill out. And we're going to practice this. And some of your trips to the forest might mean you're kind of suppressing that drive for a little bit until the dog knows how to do the other thing. You can have a say, you can turn it off, then you reintroduce it, and you haven't crushed that dog's or killed that dog's drive. It's always going to be there. It's not going to go away. You just taught them that when they go here, don't lose your mind, right? And that's what I would suggest for you. I don't even know how to answer this. Dave Putman, a friend from Canine Connection over in Buffalo. The owner's Tyler Muto. Tyler is a guy that I do workshops and seminars with. We still have a couple spots left for our June seminar in Niagara, and Dave is a trainer there. Does your beard ever grow? Does your staff have beards? Are they required to have beards? Do you think they should have beards? Does Soko have a beard? Has Marcelo, my jiu-jitsu teacher, Marcelo Garcia, put you in a bow and arrow yet? Thanks for the reply. Really appreciate the help. You're a goof. One, when I see you at IACP conference, I will tap you out. Two, I will tap Josh out as well. Probably not going to be tapping Jay Jack out because he has some experience on me. But my beard, I keep it trim. When it gets sloppy and I start looking like Teen Wolf, I get it trimmed when I get a haircut. My staff does not have a beard. Andrew could not grow a beard with Rogaine. Jen, I don't think, could grow a beard. I don't think Abby could grow a beard. I don't think Ozzy could grow a beard either. Who else? Kaylin, I don't think, or Kim, or anybody else. We like to give clients what? Yeah, we want to give them other options. Andrew said not every client should feel that they need to get good training from a tattooed, bearded gentleman. So there's your answer, Dave. What's up, buddy? I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon and heading out there. Actually, in June. First weekend in June, yeah. Which actually is before conference. So we'll get some training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I get over there. I'll bring my gi and my no-gi stuff. Be ready, son. Our pug life. You would love this, not a question. All right. Hey, Classum, you messed up, man. You didn't get your question in. Fernie. Hey, bro, I'm having trouble with my dog. He stays coming inside the kennel. Or he stays coming inside the kennel, but when I take him out, he's super excited and jumps around and runs like crazy, doesn't listen to commands. How can I ever stop the overexcited dog, or how can I get him to come? Okay, so this is what I would do. A couple things. Work on crate manners on leash. Your dog knows leash pressure already. Let's get that out of the way. Your dog goes into the crate, holds for a little bit, comes out, boom, gets food, right? Get that concept going. Then what you ask for, the dog comes out, sits, food. Goes back in, comes out, sits, food. Not treats, their feeding meal. You do this once, maybe twice a day for their meals. You get that really, really good. When you're not using food, when you get to that point, or in between feeding sessions, stop opening that crate and letting your dog kind of bolt out that way, right? Even if that means you're closing and the crate door is hitting the dog and the dog's going, whoa, I thought I was just gonna be able to run out. What would you want me to do? Sit? Oh, open the door. Opening the door should not mean the dog is ready to bolt. If the dog's ready to bolt, close it again. No, we're gonna try again, right? Nope, nope. Good, all right? Change the state of mind out here into a sit, or put the dog on a slip lead from in there. Come out into a sit. Good. Start giving your dog calm affection or no affection at all. Put the dog on whatever other collar. Then head out and work that. You should have no problem after about a week of doing this. Tops 2 weeks if you really, really drill it.
Don't move forward on excitement.
Don't move forward on excitement is a simple answer. That's a Jeff Gelman answer. Just don't move forward on excitement. Your dog's excited, don't open the crate. Don't let the dog out of the crate. Madly in love with you guys. Solid canine training. RV dog trainer. We're doing this with Sean and Laura. Hey guys, how are you? We do about 1,000 periscopes a day. We're really excited. No, this is going to be in the show. This is going to be in it. We should. Andrew and I have been talking about a couple of our colleague dog trainers just doing a kind of a spoof where we do like one question and we answer it as like Jeff Gelman, and we answer the other one as Tyler Muto, the other one as Sean O'Shea, the other one as like this person, as Caesar, as whatever it is, and just like put on different costumes. I think it would be really funny. I think I can nail, or you can probably nail Josh Moran too. Yeah, we can get. I know I can do Jeff. I can do Tyler. I can do Sean. Hey, it's Sean with the good dog with his hat.
I could do Laura.
Yeah, you could do Laura, right? That's great. Let's see. Jewel, what do you think? We only have 2 questions left, guys. What do you think are a few of the very first things to teach a puppy besides potty training when you first get them? Great question. You want to get your dog used to working for its meal. So if you're looking at the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning, we've done an episode on catch.me, right? You want to get your dog and you aware of what positive punishment is. Positive reinforcement is. What negative reinforcement is. Basically, leash pressure, having your dog do something and then getting a reward for it is the positive reinforcement, and then also negative punishment and positive punishment. Positive punishment tends to be toward the end. You're using the negative punishment, and get your dog used to that. Teach your dog basic things like sit, leash pressure, maybe walking onto place, and your markers. Get your dog good with markers. And while you're doing that, you're introducing them to the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning, and you're pretty much in good shape, man.
Preventing bad habits.
Preventing bad habits. From even starting, yeah. So setting yourself up for success, teaching your dogs the things that they want to do, preventing bad habits, even if that means babysitting or puppy proofing, or just not even putting your dog in those situations in the early stages, right? Thanks, Ozzy. Are you working tomorrow? What time are you in? 7? All right, man. We'll see you, man. So yeah, so definitely get your dog good with the markers, work your dog good for food, and throughout those things, you're set up with what you need, right? This is from Tej Ovra. 1, suggestions for keeping a dog calm during a storm and when. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. Suggestions for keeping a dog calm during a storm and windy nights. 2, she's writing an essay, or he's writing an essay. is it okay to crate a dog for 8 hours? 3, how do you deal with the overexcitedness coming out of the crate after a long time? 1, we just finished answering the overexcitedness for the crate, so bam, already answered one of your questions. We'll go over to number 1, keeping a dog calm during stormy, windy nights. There's 2 things to look for. If your dog is a dog that takes flight and is really nervous and antsy and kind of moving around, teach your dog how to hold a position, preferably a little bit away from you. They could be around you, but slightly away from you. If your dog is a dog that shuts down, teach your dog how to move, right? Preferably not in a flighty way, but how to function. Could be working your dog for food. So I would utilize soundtracks and don't just wait for every thunderstorm, because it's very hard to kind of work on that if it only happens kind of periodically. It's much, much easier if you can do it consistently during feeding time and you can control the level of the volume, right? And that will get that easier. So that's that. 2, is it okay to crate a dog for 8 hours? I'm not a fan of that. I'd say, thank you, Jen. You texted me about that interview? Yep. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, I'll read the text. Ooh, that's not good. She didn't want to say it in front of the camera. Let's see. I'm not a fan of it. Usually dogs are here in the crates around the 6-hour mark is where dogs will be out. If anything, usually it's like 4 to 6. If your dog every now and then maybe hits 8 hours, I don't think it's the end of the world, but it's not something I would encourage or promote. But in an emergency situation, hopefully you should be all right if your dog is practicing and kind of relaxing and your dog didn't just pound water coming from the park and then you created your dog and left. So the straight answer is no, but in some special situations, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I don't suggest or recommend it. All right, guys, lots going on. That was about a lot of time there, but thank you. Episode 32, 33. We're gonna get going with 34. Look on our Instagram page this weekend for our Ask Your Dog Behavior question post there, and we'll get episode 34 out next Tuesday. All right, guys, take care.